Hello and welcome back to the channel to another of my interview series. Today I'm talking to a very fired up lady. I'm very excited. Now you may remember we had two equally fired up ladies, Jane and Suzanne from ukcitizen.org on the show. Well, an affiliate organisation that's linked up with those is the wonderful Catherine McBean, who, now let me read my notes here, from the People's Health Alliance and the People's Food and Farming Alliance. And we're going to find out exactly what that is, how people are all equally fired up to go and do some wonderful things. So welcome to the show, Catherine. Hello, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. A joy to be here, Richard.
And it's lovely to have you here because you're talking very much about the things that I'm interested in: health, certainly, and farming. Two things: that food, creating good food, and looking after ourselves by the results of either eating, exercise, and all those holistic things. So do tell us a little bit about the People's Health Alliance, because I know you've got a birthday coming up.
Yeah, it's our birthday on the 23rd of April. It's been one heck of a year. We wanted to do something when the government started talking about mandating the NHS staff with certain things. And we wanted to bring an option at that primary care level for those that were aware of some of the bigger picture stuff that had been taking place and weren't comfortable necessarily to go and see their GP. Or actually, what we also wanted to do was ensure we're empowering people to take more responsibility for their own health and how they do that. So a lot of what we do is about education and supplying the set relevant resources for that. But the thing that's really taken off, which shocked us so much, is the fact that we created blueprints for how people could build health hubs in their local community and be a sort of integrative approach with it. So we're looking at the allopathic as well as the holistic approach. And what's great about a lot of these holistic practitioners is they look at the whole healing. And that's what we wanted to look at. No more quick 5 minutes in the door, chat with your GP, back out again. You've dealt with one issue and it's kind of maybe a pill for every ill. So
Yeah.
we wanted to look at the bigger picture stuff, and we were able to come together as a group of volunteers, a bunch of reprobates, if you like, and create these blueprints that we launched on the 23rd of April last year. We went live on 200 quid. We spent 200 quid and we got it moving. We've now got 12 physical health hubs open across the UK. We've got numerous virtual health hubs open across the UK, and we've got about 30 groups who are coming in fast to open the doors with their health hubs. But what's been the most outstanding thing, I think, for us is the fact that there are now health hubs open in New Zealand. There's now health hubs open in Australia. We don't spend a huge amount of money on marketing and communication, so people aren't actually aware of just how successful this has been and how empowered people feel, how excited they are about stepping into their power and doing something really, really positive with their energy. And so we also Portugal, Spain, Canada, we've got so many countries now who've opened their doors or are in the process of doing so.
Mm.
And these are multiple ones as well. And what's been the beautiful kind of byproduct of doing this is that we've now got support systems, support groups, whatever you want to call it, naturally, organically developing across the UK, across the world, where those that are aware of some of the bigger picture stuff are able to come together and support those as they're becoming awakened or aware, so that we've got safety nets in place. Because as information comes out and things are more apparent about things that have been taking place within the health arena, there's going to be some anger, there's going to be some frustration, there's going to be some people feeling very, very lost and alone. But actually, what we're doing is we're already putting these support groups in place as a byproduct, like I say, getting these support groups in place. So as people become aware, we can come together at our community level, create those safety nets and support each other through this, because sometimes it won't be easy. But it's been an incredible first year. I can't get over just how well received this has been, and how quickly it's developing, and it'll just keep going from strength to strength now.
So how do you? I mean, how do you? How do you sort of? You've just you give a barrage of wonderful, positive success. How do you do that? How do you create all of that? I mean, it must be a hell of a lot of hard work involved in bringing all these people together, and as you say, having physical places that people can go to.
Yeah, it's been outstanding. First off, I think the energy was right. This is about empowerment. This is about, and we're very focused on our integrity. We've got an opportunity here at this moment in history to change things, and we've got to ask what's important. And for us, it was about the integrity. It's about the moral standards that you put into what you do, and people could relate to that. Also, we're very keen to let people know just how much power they've got. They just have to step into it. There's a right way and a wrong way to use our power, and we're hopefully guiding people how to do it in the right way. And I've got to say, I have been surrounded by the most incredible people. We've been doing 60 hours a week, not so much now. We've started to be able to calm down a bit, but initially we were doing 60-hour a week for months and months and months. Which probably isn't good for your health. I should
No,
probably say that.
that's the thing, isn't it?
Ironically,
Yeah.
but we have absolutely worked our socks off, and I am so grateful for the amazing people that have I'm surrounded with, who've worked their butts off to make this happen. But we do it with fun, we do it with love, we do it with excitement. We're not all about the negative. We're very much about positive, and people enjoy that energy. They enjoy being in that environment. And I've had people say to me, which fills my heart with joy, I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I was frustrated. I felt alone in the world. I mean, a couple of people have said they were close to doing some pretty severe things to
Mm,
themselves
mm.
because they were so lost and so devastated as they became aware of the big picture stuff. And they said, PHA saved my life. Not necessarily through medical treatments or anything like that, but they've saved my life because I found my family. I found something I can do. I found something where I'm accepted and appreciated, and I can make a difference. And that's, really very, very important at times like this, that there is that opportunity. So there is that beautiful byproduct of whereby people are supported by being a part of PHA whilst they are busy supporting other people. And it's just been marvelous, but it's taken sheer hard work, determination, and a lot of back and forth. We haven't always got everything right straight away, but we've ensured that we found the solutions, and we keep bringing them forward. For example, this week we just launched our Youth Hub Blueprint, which is really, really exciting for us because I personally feel very, very strongly about taking care of our young people and how we support them. We've got a society now whereby they're just, this is their screens, they're glued to it. There's not a huge amount of activity or opportunities within their local communities since COVID. A lot of youth hubs have gone, youth clubs have gone, and various sports clubs. And as a result, we see our young people not feeling they have a lot of hope. They don't really understand that they've got a future. And we've created these hub blueprints, these youth hub blueprints, which are going to become, I think, very essential moving forward to ensure we support our young people, be that their physical well-being, mental well-being, spiritual well-being, whatever it might be. And we hope that the things like the Youth Hub Blueprint will inspire people to start setting this up in their communities. So it's all about solutions. It's all about providing solutions and bringing those forward. But the real work is down to each community to develop this and take this information and run with it. And so many are. It's heartwarming. So many already are.
Well, that sounds absolutely incredible. I had an email from one of my contributors only the other day, actually, and said that they had a letter inviting them to their GP now in a group of 20. And they were explaining that now you not only could you not ring in to get an appointment, but you were going to be given this app, whether you had the facilities to use it or not, i.e. if you didn't have a very good phone. And that was how you were going to initiate your contact with your GP. And you just think humanity is being removed more and more from health. And the other thing that sort of struck me is in recent times, everything's become so very clinical. That again, humanity is the slightest bit of dust, you've got to have all this bacterial stuff, and everything's like, that sense of trust has disappeared. And of course, trust in the whole medical profession since the 2020, when we've had that pandemic, of course, people are sort of worried, oh, hang on, we were told to stay at home. You don't normally have to stay at home when you're ill. We want advice. We want to be reassured. And it seems to me now is the time where people are going, actually, I'm going to take responsibility for myself, my health. I just need a bit of guidance and some friendly faces. And that seems to be exactly the sort of thing that you're offering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like anything nowadays. You ring up to get, you ring the bank, you ring the electricity company, you ring whoever it is, and you're met with a machine. And actually, it's something that's been a bugbear of mine for many, many years because you can see where this was going to go. I woke up about 25 years ago, so I was looking at all these signs, and the removal of humanity has been one of the main key factors they've done. And like everything, they've done it in the shadows, they've done it very quietly in the background, but little bit by little bit, we've seen these changes happen. Now, if you're somebody who's worried about their health, you've actually got a genuine concern. The last thing you need to do is start bringing in screens and buttons and tech and robot voices and everything else.
Mm.
You want a human being. You want somebody, empathy is not something that will come from a robot. And what we have with these practitioners that work throughout PHA is that um, very caring, very loving, very open people who will just take you into their open eye. It's a beautiful, beautiful energy that comes from these people. And they'll sit down with you for half an hour, whatever it might be, to almost triage, work through the situation with you. But they'll look at the mind, the body, the soul, everything's interconnected. And then, for example, if they sort of think, okay, this actually a gut health issue? This comes from gut health. Um, then they can then advise you to go and speak with one of the nutritionists, or it could be something else. But to feel cared for, to feel welcome, to feel you're supported. Those are the important things that are missing. And it's absolutely key that we don't lose that. We bring it back. People are scared that things are too far gone. They're not too far gone at all.
No.
It's up to us to step into our power and make these things happen. And PHA and PFFA and a number of other authentic grassroots groups out there are absolutely leading the way on this. And so many of us work together in the background, which I think people should be aware of. It's not disparate. It might seem disparate because we haven't got loads of money to spend on marketing budgets and stuff, but we work very, very closely in the background. And these are the opportunities that you have to be empowered and to make a difference. And it's got to be done by human beings. There's no other way around this. It has to be done by human beings.
It's interesting that health has been farmed out, if I can use that word, as if you can do whatever you like in your life, but there's a pill at the end of it to sort of bring
Yeah.
you back to normal, so that you're a bit overweight. Don't panic. Have this pill. Oh, by the way, you've got to have this pill for the rest of your life, and it's going to cost you this amount of money. Instead of looking at your life, what you do, and a bit of re-education and saying, actually, if you tried this different type of lifestyle, which is more organic and more holistic and wholesome and healthy, and it does involve some exercise, but not necessarily having to go down in the gym for 2 hours and sweating it off and only eating rice, that actually you might find your life is going to be better and more enriching anyway. So it's interesting how health has been sort of turned into this very limited amount of, this is how we interact with you just via a white pill that you swallow, rather than something that is actually part and parcel of your daily experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that seems to have gone amiss, and I was the first to put my hands up years ago. Common sense,
Mm.
common sense. Where did it go? If you're taking a product, say for example, food, you take something that's been processed and packaged and shipped around and everything else. The nutritional value isn't going to be there. Something because I'm on my own health journey now. This is really, I've been massively educated going through this process. And so I've been focusing on my gut health recently, and I've lost quite a bit of weight because I was stuck behind a screen for a year. I did put on the weight. So for me now, what I ask myself is, how does this serve me? How does
Mm.
this benefit me? If I'm going to put this in my body, what benefits I'm going to get from it? And I want that whole nutrition. I want that, I hate to say clean food, but food hasn't been processed massively, something that hasn't been through the system. Um, and that's becoming increasingly difficult for people to access and afford, which
Mm.
is why the People's Food and Farming Alliance came. One of the reasons the People's Food and Farming Alliance came along. So the food and the health go hand in hand, naturally go hand in hand. But what we just need is some solid education. We need people to support us through it, and but us take responsibility for it. It's very empowering. It's very, very positive when you do that, and you think, oh, it's not too late. I've not done too much damage. Actually, I can do a lot here to make myself so much healthier and so much happier as well. We've got to bring the sort of psychological benefits that come into feeding our bodies with positive energy. So that's what I hope through PHA and PFFA people will have, is that support, is that education, so you can make good decisions for yourself. It's down to you. We're not telling you what to do. We've
No,
had a lot of that
yeah.
in the past,
Mm.
but we'll supply you with some tools over to you. And then if you need that help on a local level, pop into your local PHA hub, get in contact. And if it's something a little bit more difficult, they can advise and support you through that. And that's what we need to achieve, because let's face it, don't bother with the government and the NHS if that's what you want, because you're unlikely to get that. I'm not disputing the NHS has a role, or certainly the sort of acute care size has a role for sure. But right now, if you're not in that state, look at what you can achieve by just educating yourself a little bit, getting a bit of support from some local practitioners, and save yourself years potentially of feeling like rubbish,
Mm.
and having to then lean onto the NHS that much more.
Are you finding that as people become aware of their own health and a different way of approaching it, as they're sort of waking up to actually taking back that responsibility and learning about the myriad of different approaches to finding a better way, that they, once they've sort of got knowledge of this, they don't look back? Are you finding that?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm speaking with practitioners who've been sort of pushed into the shadows for 20, 30 years or whatever, be it, homeopaths, be it some chiropractors, be it whatever. And so those guys are the better ones to speak to. But I know for sure that the people I'm speaking to who've come on board feel very, very empowered
Mm.
to learn that. Because a lot of people do think, oh, it's too late for me. I'm in my 40s and 50s. I've had a rubbish diet and not enough exercise. And no, it's never too late. The body regenerates every 7 years. Go for it. Go for it. And you'll feel so much better. And once you're feeling better, you're going to be able to help other people. And we create this wonderful ripple effect of support across the nation as we improve our health. And it's also very empowering. I don't want to be having to lean on the NHS to
Mm.
make me feel better. I don't want that. I want to be able to do that for myself. And there are tools and ways through PHA that we can support you in doing that. But it's also about it's a little bit slightly rebellious as well in a way, because what we're doing is we're creating the new, which is outside of their control. And we get to decentralize that power structure back to communities in a very, very positive, exciting manner. So as I think I mentioned to you very, very briefly, we're going to be launching tonight, which you'll see this next week. Tonight, we've got a public Zoom whereby we're letting people know that we're creating the People's Alliance, under which will fall community hub models, which will focus on food, education, health, local enterprise, lawfulness, other areas, so that we can really decentralize those power structures back to communities and back to individuals. And we'll bring the tools for you. We'll provide the models for you and the resources. And we hope that we carry on in the vein that we've seen, which is just communities just picking up and running with it. We keep stumbling across PHA groups we didn't even know about.
All
They're out
right.
there, they're doing it, and that's wonderful, because it means people don't need us.
Yes.
They're getting on with it themselves. Incredible.
So here am I. I'm not feeling very well, feeling a bit rubbish. If I get in touch with the People's Health Alliance, do I have to get up at 8:30 and have that 2-second window where I'm dialing about 15 times to get through so that I can speak to someone? Is that how it works, or is it a little bit nicer than that?
It's a little bit nicer than that. So there's a couple of options for people. Because obviously these hubs are going to take a little while to get going.
Yes.
That, like I say, there's numerous ones out there, but we've still got a lot more to do. So what we've done in the meantime is created a practitioner directory on our website, so you can find various practitioners from varying modalities within your location, and find what resonates with you. And there is information about each modality on the website. So if you're not entirely sure,
what does modality mean?
so it could be that you want a reflexologist, you could want a chiropractor, an osteopath, a homeopath. So these are the modalities. Sorry, these are the different areas, if you like, of
I've never heard that
expertise,
word, so
different-
I'm just interpreting in case somebody else is going, what's he on about modality? That sounds interesting.
So there's different modalities on there. And again, we've got some info, and we're always building our resources. There's always more to come.
Yeah.
But they're on there, so you can get an idea of what it is you might be looking for. And in all honesty, these guys are brilliant. So if you ring them up and they sort of speak to you and they find out what the issues are, they might say, actually, I'm not the specialist in this, but I'll tell you who is, and they can guide you to somebody else.
Right. Okay.
But
So
most of them will be initially.
I'm just thinking, if somebody watches this and says, I have this awful back problem. I've had it for ages. I've been to the doctor and they just give me these pills. It doesn't really do anything. In fact, it's made it worse, if anything. And they don't know what to do. Is there a central number that they can ring? Hello, I've got back problem. I need it fixed. How do I? Because some people are just so into that old way of thinking that if they've got a menu, they're not quite sure what to go for necessarily. And you must obviously experience this with the people of saying, how do I access the right thing?
This is a big part of the learning curve, I think, because for so long, I do think, and this is my personal point of view, I do think we've been spoon fed. I do think we've been led down roads where we don't actually have to think for ourselves a great deal. You know, it's all given to us. We supply the information on the varying modalities. I think some people now, I don't want this to sound disrespectful in any way, but we've got to make sure we're sort of switching on our common sense. And ensuring that we start thinking for ourselves that little bit more. And this is the opportunity for you, again, to have that personal responsibility. Now, don't get me wrong. If you've rung somebody and they're thinking, actually, I'm not the right person, they will guide you to the right person.
Right, yeah.
You know, they'll encourage you to do that. We've got
because if it was my mum,
I'm
just thinking of my mum back in the day. She's no longer with us now, but my mum, she was an alcoholic, but she would be as soon as she was ill, she would be going, I want these antibiotics. I want these antibiotics. And she would just be, a real nuisance. And she clearly needed not the antibiotics. She clearly needed some help with the alcohol problem, and then with whatever sort of viruses and things that was also allowing to come into her and her health and things like that. She wouldn't accept anything that her children would say because they were her children. What do you know?
Of course.
And so she needed somebody in some sort of profession to be able to say. And so she would listen to doctors, but because she was basically a bloody nuisance, because they didn't have the time to take her on the journey to help her out. And all I'm just aware that there will be people, and again, no disrespect to people who, as you say, have been so spoon-fed that here is the 0800 number, ring this, and we'll put you through to the right department type thing. And as you're saying, people need to be a bit more discerning to try and help themselves and get through to the right place. But that you will be guided if you've come to the chiropractitioner and actually they say, no, you need a herbalist for this, not it's not about the bones, it's about the gut, that sort of thing.
And I think this is another thing. So based on what you've just told me, and I'm not a health practitioner, I want to put that out there right now. I'm not a health practitioner, but even just as a human being, what you just told me then was, well, somebody needs to get into the nitty gritty of the trauma as to why mum's an alcoholic. Because we can't cure the bigger picture, I don't think, until we get down to the nitty gritty. But you're right. If you go to your local GP, I don't know if they pass you a leaflet on AA or what they do, but you need to allow the time and space with somebody to do that full kind of, I hate to use the word, but analysis of the situation to find out, because we know there's such an interconnection all over our bodies and our minds and so forth. So maybe something happened with mum a long old time ago that she's not aware of, that has triggered the alcohol issues, which then have exacerbated the physical manifestations, the physical issues that you see. But you want a practitioner who's going to spot that. You want a practitioner who's going to go, okay, let's take this back a bit and sit down and talk with them and say, right, I've got a colleague in whatever mental well-being therapy there may be who can support you, and let's go back and deal with the issues down to the nitty gritty. And that's when we really see true healing. That is the whole healing approach that I was talking about. And I think it's essential more now than ever, particularly with what I think will be coming with some mental well-being issues. And we do now have a course whereby we're training people up across the UK in mental well-being first aid, because we can see that that's going to be quite an issue for a while. And so if anyone out there that resonates with them, do have a look at the website. You can come and join the courses and get trained up to support in your local community with the mental well-being issues that may arise. But we've got a lot of work to do on that front, but we won't cure things by sticking a plaster on them. We need to knuckle down to the nitty gritty, find out where the core issues are and heal from there. And that's something these practitioners do bring. And it's very exciting because it's a whole, I say it's a new way, it's not, it's actually quite a traditional way, but we're bringing it back into the spotlight and encouraging people to do this. And these practitioners, they don't stand for any nonsense. I'm not going to sit here and do everything for you. We're going to do this together. We're going to go on this journey together. And that's important as well, that we do understand that we've got a responsibility for our own health. And it's very empowering to take control of that.
So you mentioned food and farming, which is something very close to my heart. So presumably the same sort of principles to health are being applied in your People's Food and Farming department, as it were, for that thing. So tell me a little bit about the food and farming and how the initiative is working there.
Yeah, so this is something, I mean, I woke up to things being not quite right about 25 years ago, and it's because I was working within grocery and agriculture. And I went down all the rabbit holes and I realized just how bad it was going to get on the farming side, which is a big concern to me. So I plumped myself working behind the scenes in the agriculture and farming industry for a number of years just to see if I was right.
Mm.
And sadly, it seems like I was. So what we've done is formed the People's Food and Farming Alliance, and there's kind of a couple of prongs to it. So we've got the one side whereby we encourage people to grow their own at every possibility and form community growing groups. And yesterday we just launched our buying group document so that people within communities can come together and approach farmers and growers and producers to buy direct and hopefully get a better price for themselves. Because not everyone can go to the farm shop and afford food. Not everyone's in a position to do that. So what we want to do is be able to subsidize through communities that people can access good quality food that's not been sprayed on, that's not been tainted, is not from animals who've been,
Mucked about with.
injected with a number of different things.
Or
This is
precision bread as the new
Yes,
Charles
that's the
III
term.
Act. Yeah, precision bread sounds great, doesn't it? But it's completely,
It's
like
really
most
not.
of the things, the opposite of good.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, through these community growing groups, through the buying groups, through the grow your own, we want to ensure that there's a lot of fresh produce being developed and delivered into local communities, particularly, for Doris at number 86 who can't grow their own food. We're encouraging people to work with their neighbours who can't take care of their back gardens to allow a connection there so that they can use that land to grow and that neighbour can benefit from that food. So, there's a number of different routes, blueprints, information, education, supporting workshops, all sorts going on with PFFA, and you can find all that information on our website and a lot of it on our social media. On the other side of it, we've got the farming. So create a blueprint for supporting farmers who want to transition from if you like, a monocrop, monoproduct culture through to a more traditional mixed farming approach. We worked with Sir Julian Rose early on, so we love his model. We would love every farmer to adopt his model, and we've shared a lot of that on our website. So a lot of farmers are still caught up with the green agenda, if you like. They're still in that space, so it's going to be a much slower process for us. But we're also producing a blueprint over the next couple of months to support the growth and development of community farms, so that people can, if they haven't got a local farmer who's in a position whereby they'll work directly with the local community, or don't want to transition over to a more mixed farming approach, then an opportunity for communities to develop their own community farms. But we do hope that farmers in the fullness of time, and we are reaching out to them, we're sort of slowly making some developments. We're providing a lot of resources for farmers, like lawful rights resources is coming soon. We've done a load on funding, so farmers can access funding that's available if they are struggling, independents are struggling financially. And we're doing a lot on mental wellbeing support to support farmers moving forward, because that is a big issue within agriculture and one that people don't recognise nearly enough. So we're very much resource based and working on that side at the moment, but we do hope more farmers will come forward and talk with us so that we can help with that transition over to more of a mixed farming approach.
Yeah, because presumably some farmers are quite locked into the monoculture approach because they've invested in large agricultural equipment, which, suddenly, unless they're farming massive fields all day long, for monocrop, like spring barley, for example, acres and acres of one crop, they're not going to get the return on that big investment that they've got on that massive tractor, when actually they could return to a mixed farming, to have smaller tractors and smaller fields and things like that.
Exactly.
And the whole circular nature of farming. So it must be quite difficult for them to just think, yeah, we want to do this. It's probably a bit of a sort of a 5-year sort of bring it down or something. I don't know. I'm thinking on my feet here.
It is. It's going to be a much slower transition. One of our ambassadors, Gareth Wyn Jones, I was talking to him a month or so back, and we're looking even at some like the east of the country. We've got a lot more crops going on, but the ground suffers as a result of that. Whereas we've got a lot of cattle over in the west, and it's how the logistics work that maybe we can move that cattle over to the east. We know if you've got something like blackgrass, they'll go and spray the heck out of black grass when the best thing you can do is stick some cows on it. Cows will
Exactly.
deal with black grass very, very quickly. So we are looking at all the various logistics. We're looking at funding to open up education centres to support more mobile butchers, more mobile feed mixers to go on site and do the job so that we can take out the middlemen, and the farmer's got a lot more control
Hmm.
over
Yeah.
his produce, over his animals, and how that works. He can then independently grow his own fodder crops, for example, have the feed mixer come on with the right levels of protein and so forth. And we don't even have to get involved with the fodder industry, which is quite a vile one. So there's lots we've got in the pipeline, but what we need is more people, money, sadly, and ideally some, I hate to use the word experts, it's been, brutalized over the last few years, but some experts to come in and just support with their viewpoint on what that looks like. But again, it's people driven, it's organic development. But the grow your own and the community grown groups is flying, absolutely flying. People are picking this up and running with it, and that's what we want.
And that sounds great. So you've got, I mean, food, of course. If you've got good quality, wholesome food, it's going to affect your health. So these two departments, as it were, as I'm calling them, or initiatives, I suppose, the Health Alliance and then the food and farming, they're so in parallel with one another, helping one another. And if you eat well, your body is an amazing thing because it keeps itself as well as it can. And topped up with some herbs and bits and pieces and good food, you're good to go. It sounds
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Where can people find out more information about all the stuff that you're doing?
So we've got a website for each. The People's Alliance one isn't complete yet. That'll be coming, and there will be more on education and local enterprise and so forth. But for now, you can certainly get involved with the PHA, whether you're somebody who wants to use the services or you're someone who wants to support it and get involved. And if you are a practitioner, head to our practitioner directory. It's currently a free of charge service, and we'll share your details out there. So for the People's Health Alliance, go to the-pha.org,
Which
and for the
I'll
People's
put it
Food
in
and
the description anyway, so people have got a quick link to it to save the hassle. But yeah, so there's mainly one place they can go to.
the two websites, so the
Yeah.
PHA one and exactly the same, but you just put PFFA, and go and have a look. There's lots of education on there. There's lots of information, very interactive on the PHA one. But for example, with the People's Food and Farming Alliance, we've connected with other groups, one of which has a platform where all the local producers, farmers, etc., who will supply directly to the community can be plotted onto a map. So you can go onto this map, and it's at the base of our front page on our website. You can go to this map, put in your area, and you'll see all the local producers and suppliers and farmers in that area who are happy to provide directly to the community. So we work again. We work a lot with partners and affiliates across both organisations. It's not just what we can do; it's what we
Mm.
can do together. So if you are an organisation out there, even if you're small and you want a platform and you want to connect, get in contact, because we're more than happy to help get your name out there. And if you've got the same ethics and morals as us and you're sort of a grassroots, authentic grassroots organisation, then we're more than happy to work with you and get your information out there.
Well, there you go. Hopefully. Now, some people may know that whilst I'm recording this, I've had a bit of a YouTube problem, so this will go back onto YouTube at some point, probably in 7 days from when I'm recording it. So, depending on where you're watching this, hopefully, Catherine, you'll get some good interest at different stages as people discover this video, and of course, from all the other activities that you're doing. Is there practical things that people can do to help?
Very much so. So on the PHIA side, you don't have to be a practitioner to help build a health hub. And if you want to go full for it, go for the community hubs, then please do. We need everyone to get involved, whatever your skill set are. I've got every belief that there's something within that you can do to support people in your community, creating these community hubs. Do connect. We've got, oh my goodness, 100 hub groups across the UK that you'll find on Telegram. The list is on our website, so you can come and find your local hub group. And if you can go on Telegram and find our main channel, it's just called the People's Health Alliance. Pinned at the top is a list of all the different hub groups that are available. So you can go and find your local hub group and get involved and say, hey, what can I do? This is my skill
Yeah.
set, or this is my interest, or this is what drives me. How can I help you? So there's a very practical side from that. Even
Another
if you don't God, I was just going to say, even if you don't do PHA or PFFA, connect with people in your local community. Go and check on Doris at number 86. Go and,
Mm.
we've got one of our team who's building models for how to get gardens grown in your local school, food gardens grown in your local school, and working with the school on that. There's so many things people can do, and I'm not precious about it. It's PHA or PFFA. If you've got the capacity and the time, and you're keen to make a difference, that's the thing. You want to make a difference and create a better world, go out there and do it. As long as you stay lawful, there's no one stopping you. Just go and do it.
Yeah. No, it sounds. I mean, we've been pushed into a time where we've been pushed behind screens, as you said, and kids have been growing up with this sort of thing. And I think children, of course, they are the next generation. I come from growing up in the 60s and the 70s, and we were just free to roam and do our own thing, get on the bikes and cycle about. We didn't have
Yeah.
that many hours of television to draw us in. Kids now sort of so in their bedrooms and fearful of going out and doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's about rebuilding communities, and these are sort of the most basic things of a community that gives you so much joy and fun and laughter and meeting people, and that thing about just wasting a bit of time, having a bit of gossip over the garden fence, those sort of things, rather than that sort of wait in a line, put on a mask, or the doctor will see you in a few minutes, that's it, there's your pills, now disappear into the blue yonder, we don't want to see you again. It's about life, isn't it, really?
It's about life, and it's about living. And I think it's about happiness as well. Let's face it, people are bloody miserable.
Yeah,
So, and we've probably all been blooming miserable over the last few years at some
yeah.
point or another. And that's the beauty of coming together. And that's what I'm seeing within the groups at PHA. That is by far and away the biggest, most positive thing, is that connection with other people, is that being able to talk openly and freely with no judgment, support. I mean, the support I see for each other, random strangers. Does someone
Mm,
post something, they're out, there's a panic or something's happened, and people just jump on them. Hey, how can I help? How can I
yeah,
support you? And you feel good for doing that. So it's not, you're just the person who needs help, that you're getting that support. The person helping you is going to feel really good after they've helped you out, because that's what happens to us. And we do come, I mean, it sounds a bit, you know, fluffy, but we do come from a place of love. We come from a place of positivity. And I think if we can all lean into that a little bit more, we're going to have a much happier world for it. So we have a lot of fun doing what we do as well. That for all the negative feeds out there and everything else that's going on, you've got to have a bit of positivity in life and a bit of balance, guys. And you can find that through all these
mm.
groups that are building the new, because we're excited, we're happy. It's all good fun.
And I think people are gravitating to that now. We've had the sort of the sterile robotic way of living, and I think people are desperate to sort of smile again and laugh. It's been an invigorating conversation. Thank you so much, Catherine. I hope people will go and check that out, because this is the future. It really is, that we are rebuilding the communities. The big elites might say they want to build back better, and their version of better is not in any way like what we really need. And I think that you guys and all the people who are sort of behind this whole movement, with all the different people I'm talking about, is building far better than anybody above can tell us to do. It's that business about the grassroots, isn't it? It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time to tell us. So there you go. Do check out the website. Thank you so much to Catherine. I will be back with more interviews and more, hopefully, positivity on this channel. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Big thanks to Catherine and all of that. Until the next time, goodbye.